Homework 9, question 1. So the question is, suppose that W of t is a stochastic process with expected value of W of t is equal to 0, and the RW of T1, T2 is equal to alpha times the minimum of T1, T2. And also define that Y of t is equal to W of t minus W of t minus 1 when t is bigger than 1. And then the Y of t is equal to 0 when t is smaller than 1. So question is try to find the expected value of Y of t and Ry of T1, T2. And also asking, is Y of t a WSS Y stands stationary? So the expected value of Y of t is going to be equal to E of W of t minus W of t minus 1, and which is equal to 0. So Ry of T1, T2 is going to be equal to expected value of W of T1 minus W of T1 minus 1 times W of T2 minus W of T2 minus 1. And so we're plugging the equations from the question, so we get that it's going to be equal to the alpha of minimum times the minimum of T1, T2 minus minimum of T1, T2 minus 1 minus the minimum of T1 minus 1, T2 plus the minimum of T1 minus 1, T2 minus 1. So when T2 is smaller than T1 and T2 smaller than T1 minus 1, as we can see from the graph. So when Ry of T1, T2 is going to be equal to the alpha times the minimum of T1, T2 minus the minimum of T1, T2 minus 1 minus the minimum of T1 minus 1, T2 plus the minimum of T1 minus 1, T2 minus 1. And it's going to be equal to the alpha times the T2 minus T2 plus 1 minus T2 plus T2 minus 1. And all of the terms can be cancelled out. So we get the so it's going to be equal to 0. And also now, when a T2 is smaller than T, and when a T2 plus 1 is bigger than T1, we get the graph like this. And then now we know that Ry of T1, T2 is going to be equal to the alpha times the minimum of T1, T2 minus the minimum of T1, T2 minus 1 minus the minimum of T1 minus 1, T2 plus the minimum of T1 minus 1, T2 minus 1. And it's going to be equal to the alpha times the T2 minus T2 plus 1 minus T1 plus 1 plus T2 minus 1. And we get rid of the terms that can be cancelled out, and then we get it's going to be equal to the alpha times the 1 minus T1 minus T2. So as conclusion, we get the Ry of T1, T2 is going to be equal to 0 when T1 minus T2's absolute value is bigger than 1, and then it's going to be equal to alpha times the 1 minus T1, T2 absolute value when T1 minus T2 absolute value is smaller and equal to 1. So we know that the Ry of tau is going to be equal to 0 when tau's absolute value is bigger than 1, and is going to be equal to alpha times 1 minus the absolute value of tau when absolute value of tau is smaller than 1. And also, so we can see from here that the Y of t is WSS.